Hello, everybody. Welcome to GT Live. We've been gone for 2 weeks, but we are back. We are back in a big way. We have a guest today that is worth 2 episodes of GT Live.
Yeah, right.
Mr. John Vignocchi from Disney Interactive.
What's
Welcome
going on,
to the show,
man?
John.
How are you?
Good to see you, buddy.
Well, you have to stand up and shake hands.
Okay. All right.
My father would have been proud if he's watching.
We, of course, today are playing Disney Infinity 3.0, which launches... What was the official launch date?
It depends. In Europe, it was on Friday, and then in North America, it was on Sunday, I think.
But it is out.
Sunday, live!
And we got Don Casanova on the couch, who has never played Disney Infinity before in his life, but enjoys himself customizing some levels.
Yes.
He has built quite a few levels in trials before, so he's gonna have a trial today in Disney Infinity.
I see he's placing a whole bunch of hot tubs in the Hall of Heroes there.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm making sort of a little hedonistic gazebo area over here, so
Right.
Mickey's going to enjoy that when he gets there.
We're starting off on the right foot here.
And I like your shirt, Don. Guardians
Thank
of the
you.
Galaxy.
Thank you very
It's
much.
very appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
So Don, let us know if you get sick of the toy box. We can throw another playset on there. Of course, we have all of the figures here, all laid out from the massive collection. You've got over 100 figures now in the series. Elise Williams is in chat and joining me up on the desk here. We have quite a giveaway here, John. Well, last time that you were on the show, we gave away digital codes for Sam and Cora, who were just digital figures.
Yes.
Just available in the digital version of
That's
Infinity.
right, Brandon.
Today we are giving away the digital version of the game itself.
Okay.
So we're going to be giving away several codes. Not only can you throw out questions if you want the digital version of the game, you can actually specify what console you would prefer to get the code on.
Yeah, please, when you ask a question, say which platform you prefer.
So that will make it easier for Elise at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just to explain how that works, so if you don't own any version of Infinity, obviously the digital code's not going to get you very far because you do need the base. So that's going to get you the game. But
Base!
you do need the base and you do need a figure.
How low can you go?
I'm searching for information here, John.
Sorry, it's
I just need some verification
this has been,
here.
just for anyone that's watching right now, I am like at the brink of being just shattered.
That's exactly where I
'cause
want
it's
you.
like, it's like, yeah, exactly. This is perfect because it's launch week, I think.
Yeah,
but
it's
it
happening.
felt like that for the past 2 weeks for me because I've been on the road like crazy. But yeah, so now as everyone's been saying different lines, and I've just been like, oh, that reminds me of this song. So of course it made me think of Public Enemy. My bad.
But
whatever. Random.
The bonus for the digital is, so if you're like, I've done Infinity on the Xbox 360 the whole time.
Yeah.
Then if you already have the base, then you can just have the digital code, and then if you just get at least one figure, then you can, you can jump into the toy box and
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
go in
Yeah.
and build stuff like Donna's now.
Yep.
So that is the bonus of the
Yeah.
digital version of Infinity.
Or we give you 3.0 and you go get that base.
You go get that base.
Go get that base.
Wait, so I have something special.
Something special.
Yeah, so I also brought some special giveaways for
Whoa.
What?
for the GT audience and for
Whoa.
you, and I know you're a big fan. And so I brought some extra special stuff too, but like when we're ready to talk about that, let me know, and then
We're gonna get to we'll get to
Yeah.
that. We'll get to that later. There's lots of fun, exciting stuff happening. Let's talk about how exhausted you are, John.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
What has the last month of your life been like?
Well, the last week is probably like, if anyone cares. It was like basically on Tuesday night I flew to Washington, D.C. We met with USA Today, Brett Molina and his entire group there, which was a lot of fun. Then we went to CNN, which is crazy. Like just the amount of people who are like, hey, it's Disney. Hey, this is like a cool video game. It's a big deal for the company. We'd love to talk about it. So we did that. And then I went to New York. And then on Thursday morning of last week, I was on Good Morning America, which was crazy. So I did that, and then I went and met with Fox News, which was also, crazy because they're doing game stuff now, which is, I think, awesome. And then I went to Wall Street Journal, and then I flew to San Francisco, and there was a big party at Pixar that they had celebrating Infinity, which was awesome. And then came home, crashed for a few hours, flew to San Francisco on Sunday, was in San Francisco Sunday and Monday, came home. So I missed the launch of the game, which is the first time ever. Like on Sunday, I didn't actually get to go. I was telling this to Joy on the way over here. I didn't actually get to go into a store. And like, as a game developer, you always go into a store when your game launches and you kind of sit in the corner, like just listen to let's see if the GameStop manager can actually pitch this. Have we done a good enough job educating people?
Yeah.
And so that had happened. But so I didn't get to see that at all. Which is sad.
There's time.
Yeah, I mean,
You got-
there's still time,
you got
right?
more-
I mean,
you got another playset coming out. You got more figures coming out this year. So
yeah,
you'll get more
yeah.
opportunities.
So I mean, so like that's happened, and then like we did a live stream yesterday. You were on the live stream
Yeah.
for Toybox TV.
You
and
did a
it
bunch
was-
of live streams this week.
It was like, yeah, and so I was supposed to be on this entire week, but like something's come up, so I haven't had a chance to be on. But then it was really sad because Allison sent me a text message. So for anyone that's watching, we do live streams now for Infinity, and we do a ton of them. We do at least every single week. But like for launch week, we're going to do it every single day. And I was supposed to be on every single day, but there's so much stuff happening at launch when it comes to like just internally like tracking, hey, how are we doing in terms of sales? How are we doing in terms of Metacritic? Hey, you know, there's a problem over here. What's going on there? Like still trying to be active on the social community, reaching out to everyone, talking to everybody. So like all this crazy stuff is happening. And then Allison's like, hey, we're doing a live stream. Where are you? And then after I got done meeting with Jimmy Pitaro, who's our co-president of our division, I walked in and you were there. And like, I was so sad because I've been talking for so long about like, yeah, can't wait to get you on the show, Brandon. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool. And then I walked in and it's like, you're just wrapping up the thing I've been talking about for years, which totally pissed me off. But you have.
But
to
it
come
happened.
back.
But I was there, and I played a little bit with Allison. I played a little bit with Pat, with Papa Echo.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually built a challenge, and then we both played it, and I got a higher score than him.
Did
so
you
I
really?
I beat him in his
Good.
own game.
Good. That's great.
literally.
Isn't it funny to see just how like ghetto like that whole setup is? Like you would think that.
Oh
we
yeah,
have,
not the
like,
game, but the actual
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like I just mean more like this entire thing for us doing what we do with community all grew out of like us just going, this is what we think is right.
Right.
And we think it's cool. And for me, it's a little bit like philanthropic in that like I had always wanted to growing up be able to reach out, talk to, interact with game developers. And, you know, before social media, right, it was always about like writing letters and trying to get people on the phone. And so now, like, that's why I always feel like I have to respond to everybody because it's like, it's my job. Like that is something that I had always wanted. And so that's why we do as much as we're doing. And so it's just really tough when, like, again, going back to like you being there and then just being sad because it's like I'd miss playing with you and all that stuff. We would have had so much fun.
But that brings up a good point, John. Like, why are you the person? I mean, you know, this might sound like a loaded question, but like, why are you the person to be on Good Morning America? Like, why? Like, is that officially part of your job description, or is that something you're like, I want to be the one there, you know, communicating the message. I want to be the one on behalf of the team and the company to
Yeah.
tell people about the game.
No.
Like, or is it just? Is this just the way, you know, the way your job is that you have to run out at all these different things, or are you actually putting yourself out there? Do you want to be involved, and do you want to be the person?
Yeah, that's an interesting
there.
way. I mean, so interesting way to ask that question. So basically, in the beginning, the one thing here, I'll say what Blackburn always says, right? It's like when he talks about Avalanche in Salt Lake City, the guys that created Disney Infinity, and he talks about all the people that were the leadership of the team. He always says, like, I felt like I had the right person in tech, the right person in creative, the right person in art, but I never felt like I had a person that truly represented us down at Disney proper in Los Angeles, which is, you know, where our headquarters is. And so when they had brought me on, they were like, oh, so, you know, what's funny is that this guy understands game development because I'd spent so much time actually making games myself. So I knew what it's like to be in the trenches, even though like my position at Disney was more like representing them to the wider Walt Disney Company. And so kind of as I was doing that more and more, that's when like PR started saying like, oh, well, you know, John's real busy and the guys are real busy working on a bunch of game stuff. But at the same time, we can pull JV away to do a couple of these things. But that's why you'll actually always see Blackburn and I do it together because we actually really like doing PR together because it's like Penn and Teller, right? You've got like two totally different sides of it, right? I get super excited and over the top about how much fun Infinity is and how cool it is, and then John at the same time, he always says like, well, I lend credibility, because I've been making games twice as long as you have. But yeah, that's kind of it. I think it's just more about it doesn't really matter who it is. And so right now, like, you know, I'm lucky that PR, you know, puts me in front of the camera. What's most important though is representing Avalanche Software, and all the incredible development studios that we work with and also Eye on the Prize. It's about Disney Infinity. Doesn't matter who's delivering the message. It could be, you know, the sweaty Italian guy, or it could be the quiet nerd programmer. It doesn't matter. It's all about Disney Infinity.
And I got to admit, John, like your energy is so great. Even at the
I'm picking up right now.
Even
I'm
at
like,
even
okay,
at D23,
cameras on
yeah,
us?
I don't know how you do it. Like even at D23, where you think like all the presenters would come out and just naturally have that infused, Disney excitement. You came out and it just eclipsed.
Did you like
everybody.
that?
It was fun. It was a really cool event. And actually, I wanted to get on and talk a little bit about all the stuff leading up to launch. We had big announcements at D23. We had the Toy Box Summit for the second year right before that, where we brought people in and had challenges.
I snuck into Disney California Adventure.
Like literally, not like I just went by like at night. Like you
actually, now you're like, what?
I want to know. I want to know the story.
Break into the park. It's like
You got a crowbar. You wedged the door open.
So basically, what had happened for anyone that's watching, so we do this thing called the Toy Box Summit. You had come, I guess it's 2 years ago,
right?
Or is it a year ago? It's a year ago now.
Last year and this year, yeah.
Right. So we had done this. Basically, what we wanted to do was create an event for the community and celebrate the people that create the coolest toy boxes, that are the most hardcore fans. And so if they had been consistently creating awesome toy boxes, we then invited them to this event last year, which was in like the super glamorous Sheraton Hotel in Salt Lake City. But what was funny is that around Disney, they had noticed that actually had picked up a lot of traction in terms of people covering it in social media and what people were saying. And so we actually got someone from the parks reached out and said, D23's next year. It would be really cool if you guys actually had this Toy Box Summit link up with D23. So this year we did it. Instead of flying all these great toy box artists from around the world to the glamorous Sheraton in Salt Lake City, we brought them to Anaheim and then had them at Disneyland for the rest of the weekend. So that was a ton of fun. But what had happened, so the story is that we basically gave them 3.0 and we said, you guys are going to work in teams. And at the end of this, there's going to be a judge's vote, and there's going to be a big prize for that. And then there's going to be a community vote. And the community, after watching the live streams and everything that we're doing, they're going to vote on who has the coolest toy box. And the artists that created this toy box are actually going to be turned into little townspeople inside of Infinity. And so everyone basically had 18 hours as groups to do this. And so at about 2:30 in the morning, because secretly what was happening in the background is that we were having a development summit that was happening off-site. So as all the toy box artists are there, we actually had flown in all the key members of Ninja Theory, United Front Games, Sumo Digital, Studio Gobo, all the people that we work with, all the external development studios, and had a dev summit happening in the background too, secretly. And after we were out and had dinner, I fell asleep, and then I woke up at like 2:30 in the morning, and then I was like, I know that those guys right now are sitting there and they're trying so hard because they want to be a part of this game. They're probably tired. They probably need a shot in the arm. And so I got up, I threw on some shorts, sandals, a little Disney t-shirt, and then I walked to California Adventure, and then I managed to get my way in there. And
How,
then
John?
I'm not going
curious.
through. I'm
You
not
told
going
them
through
you're-
it.
You think
Like,
you
you
could just
had-
flash a badge?
You
or
bought a
something,
pass? You bought a pass?
Like
Or-
it's a bit of Disney magic.
Oh,
Let's just
okay.
let's leave it that way.
I understand.
And then I went in there, and then actually on Periscope, I turned on my Periscope, and I was like, "What's on?" Right? And I totally got everyone, or I tried to get everyone like to be excited and amped again. And what was cool is that a bunch of the Toy Box mentors, who are former Toy Box artists that we actually hired onto the development team, they had sent me messages afterwards, basically being like, everyone was really crashing, and then you came in and gave everybody a little bit of a shot in the arm to continue. And by the way, the toy boxes that these guys made,
Yeah, insane.
even like,
Insane.
yeah, I mean, 18 hours, like, of course they know Infinity, but they don't know 3.0. They don't know all the new tools. They don't know all the new things that you can do. And so to see what they created, even with that small amount of time, was absolutely incredible.
And last year, when I went to the first Toy Box Summit, I was like, okay, the good offerings, everybody, but I mean, these two are clearly like the winners.
Right.
And this was a tie across the board. I mean, I was glad I was not on that judges
Which one was your
panel.
favorite? I wish we had footage we could show. Which one was your favorite? Do you remember off the top of your head?
I mean, the Hoth one, right? I think the
Hoth
Hoth map
one?
one.
Yeah,
I think
so that was the one that won.
I think that probably was my.
That actually was not my
my
favorite.
favorite. Okay.
My favorite was I forget what the beginning was, but the end of it ended up in a space battle that they had created, and then you had to go and they had built a Star Destroyer out of blocks and then put explosion
that's
triggers
right.
along the side.
Yeah.
And you had to go and then not only like shoot the explosion triggers to blow up the Star Destroyer, but then actually go inside and hit a button. And then at the end, I mean, this is the crazy thing is that with the tools now, especially for power users, they're creating experiences inside the toy box that are beginning to get close to what we as developers make as play sets.
Right.
And I think that that's what's fun about Infinity is that as the platform continues to evolve, so will those tools in the community that can create great content for it. And hopefully at one point, you know, what we're focused on is doing the stuff that's too difficult for the common person to actually program. And we're then turning over those tools to them and saying, okay, make great content and we'll continue to support you in every way we can.
So speaking of the summit, so, you know, I love this game, John. I love talking to you. I love you know, supporting this game any way I can. But I really want to take the gloves off.
How much do you love it?
How much do I love it?
You want to take the gloves off?
Yeah.
Do you love it like an 8.2? You love it?
Like an ooh.
Is that?
Oh, we're now the gloves are off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
gloves are
so
off.
here's the thing. I remember you saying, I am so excited for this game, but I'm really worried about reviewing it because, you know, I feel like it's going to, like, I'm going to give it. And so I was like, when I saw your review and the fact that it's lower than, like, most of the other guys are somewhere between an 8.5 and a 9. Not challenging any journalist, by the way, right now that might be watching, but as a huge fan, and I was like, there seems to be some journalistic integrity happening here.
Right?
Like, this score seems a little bit lower, but, like, regardless, hey, I still love you. And if you gave us a 9, a 9.5, or a 10, that would have been fine. But if you did it for your reputation, that's fine too. The thing that's most important is that you like the game and you've had fun with the game.
I mean, I do. I stream the game every Tuesday. I'm going to continue to do it.
That's the most important thing.
In his defense, like, we give him shit constantly.
Right.
And probably, like, bullied him into lowering that score.
In 82 or 8.2 or whatever it was. Yeah, whatever. It's like, it's totally fine, guys. The thing that's most important to us is that you guys like it and it's fun. And then at the same time, you know, gamer moms and gamer dads finally feel like they have a game that they can play with their kids. And actually, Ben Kuchera at Polygon wrote an article that got passed around the company that's basically like, hey, if you want to talk about Infinity and how crazy it is, I have a family that's 6 to 15, and they're all playing it, and they're all playing it for different reasons. And so that was like, when we read that, we were like, oh, finally. Like, this is what we had talked about years ago. When it's like, hey, this is going to be a platform. This is what it's going to be. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, whatever, buddy. But now it really does feel like, and I think a lot of journalists like yourself are beginning to realize, like, yeah, actually, this makes a lot of sense. And now I'm understanding why and what this in their mind it was, and how it has now matured into just showing signs of that. But we still have a lot of work to do to make it a great game, even better. I mean, but just
Whew. Shots fired, John. I was not.
Well, you were like, "Oh, gloves off," and I was like,
well,
"I
haven't even said anything yet. In
here,
I haven't
right?
even said anything
for
yet.
anyone, for anyone that's on the dev team that's watching, is like, Brandon Jones gives an 82. What the is that?
Well, it was higher than last year. I gave it an 8 last year.
You gave it an 8.
It was. I went 8.6 for year one, and I dropped down to an 8.
Yeah.
I had some concerns.
That's fine.
You know, about stuff.
That's all good.
BT on Brian in chat says that you're hard on it because you love it so much.
Well,
and Amanda agrees.
You know what? Actually, thank you. Who said that in the chat?
Beat down Brian.
Yeah, beat down Brian. Thank you. Actually, you know what? That's great perspective. I didn't even think about it. So thank you. That's right. If it's like a super fan that would go in and see Star Wars: The Force Awakens, right? Might be like, that wasn't what I expected, because they might have built it up in there. So that's
it's like Matt Soley, who was around the last time you were on, was playing the game for us. You know, whenever I had a long chat with him at D23, and like it was mostly negative because I was very critical. I'm like, you know what you should do? I don't like this. You know, I didn't like this playset last year. I didn't. You know.
Yeah. No,
so,
that's actually
it's
really good.
It's funny. It's like, you know, I am, you know, you could say somewhat obsessed with this with the whole venture of Infinity, but at the same time, like I will be very critical, as I will get to questions hopefully later in the show.
So what's important though, don't ever lose that. And to anyone that's in our community that's watching, don't ever lose that, because the most important thing that we can do, and we've been talking about it a lot this year, but like, I don't see this as a game that we put out there and then it just is like, oh, that's the version of the game. I see this as a game that we make, and less Brandon Jones, the journalist, and more Brandon Jones, the fan of Infinity. Like, this is something like I want to hear from everyone, because this should be a game with all these great characters that we care about and we evolve. And so we might say like, we think that this is the right stuff to do, but we want to know from everyone, because this, like, we want this to be a collaborative experience when we go to build it. And we want to bring in the characters that you want to be inside of there, and we want to develop the features that you want. I mean, the amount of times I've been arguing about swimming right now at like the senior leadership level on the team, because everyone's like, we want swimming, and it's like, God, when we do swimming, then we're going to be able to have characters like, Ariel and, all these different characters that people want. And then, weighing that against, geez, we really want Lion King and Simba and all of those characters.
Right.
What do we do with four-legged quadrupeds? And how are they going to drive cars? And it's going to be weird when Simba's riding Raja. Like, how does that work? So anyway, it's important to never lose focus that as a fan, that we really want to hear from everybody to make the best game that we can.
On that note, let's talk about Metal Gear.
Yeah.
MGS.
How was that?
I heard
for a
that's got
transition?
a 98 Metacritic or something insane.
Yeah, it's a hell of a game. Mr. Ben Moore has joined us, who is going to come
Hey,
up and talk
Ben.
about. Can you swap seats with Ben Moore
yeah,
just for a hot second?
absolutely.
Ben Moore's going to talk really quick about our countdown this week, and we're going to do a segment that we call Number 11, where we talk about. Unfortunately, the entry that did not make our countdown for this week. Are you a Metal Gear fan? Do you play any of the old?
Yeah, so
MGS
I
games?
was, absolutely. But I've missed the last couple of them.
Yeah, I played 1 a ton. I played 2.
played
I dabbled
Platinum
in 2 a little
1.
bit. I didn't finish 2. Didn't play 3. Didn't play 4.
Yeah.
Jeez. I know. It's terrible. I'm too busy playing Infinity. So we did last week. We did a countdown. We did the top 10 Metal Gear games, just across the board Metal
Okay.
Gear games.
Yeah.
This week, because we're still so excited about Metal Gear, we're doing the top 10 Metal Gear twists. So this is a very spoiler-heavy countdown.
Yeah, okay.
And this is spoiler-heavy what we're about to talk about, but it is something that should hopefully prep you for MGS5. I mean, if you're already into playing MGS5, you know this point. But for the top 10 Metal Gear twists, number 11 was the ending of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes.
Right, and so I guess if you don't want to know the ending of Ground Zeroes, don't listen to this. Fair warning.
Do something else.
But the reason it's so cool is because of kind of the history of Big Boss. He gets, you find out that he's pretty much being manipulated throughout all of MGS3, and that the boss was manipulated, and her sort of legacy and her honor was abused. And he goes on and he creates this group of soldiers, the MSF. The Army Without Borders, to kind of make sure that doesn't happen again, that they're not being controlled by any government. And then you find out at the end of Ground Zeroes, the whole rescue mission and this sort of nuclear inspection that they do on the base was all a ruse. He's being tricked yet again. And so it's sort of, when you hear that Phantom Pain is about revenge, that attack on his base, that's something that he built, Ground Zeroes really gives you a lot of context for that, a good reason to care, and I think that's why it's such a cool twist. Not as cool as the other 10 twists on our list, but it's still pretty neat.
There were a couple of things. Number 1 particularly, I don't want to give away what number 1 was, but like when we had this countdown meeting, I stepped in. I was like, number 1 better be this. I just want to put that on the table. And thankfully, what I wanted to have be number 1 wound up being number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, other than that, I don't have enough experience with the Metal Gear series to really weigh in on this list. So I was not there for the rest of the hardcore deliberation, which was happening right outside of my office.
It was pretty intense.
Was it intense? Like,
Yeah.
was 11? Was it kind of like, okay, we'll have that on the list? Was this on the list for a period of time and then got bumped off, or how did selection go?
No, it was. It actually didn't kind of show up until the end, where we're like, oh wait, what about this? And we were like, that would be a good number 11. So it just kind of happened very naturally. But it's cool. I feel like sometimes at the GT office, if somebody's a fan of something, they kind of might be the only one, and so they're sort of like cheering for it in the corner. But at GameTrailers here, we're like, so many people love MGS, and so when we do these countdown meetings, it's really fun because people care so much, and you see that passion come to life.
And one of the things that's nice, I did back in 07, 08, I did a retrospective on the entire Metal Gear Solid series and saved all of that footage. So that's one of the reasons why this countdown is possible, because it's one thing for us to just mention a game, and you can show a trailer, or we can play the game for a little bit and show footage of it. But if we're specifically being like,
Right.
this one story moment
Right.
in this 30, 40, 50-hour game, it's nice to have the footage to back
I was
that
just
up.
thinking about that. I'm like, how do you guys... How did you manage to do this?
Yeah,
right?
this wouldn't have come up.
Okay.
Because if you're doing the top 10 Metal Gear games, it's like, you could maybe just show the intro to all of these games. We could just play each for an hour and
Sure,
it's
right.
like, kind of keep the comments broad and not really talk about that one specific moment that you're not looking at now.
With Metal Gear, it's funny because in any game, it's hard getting a specific moment, but because of the nature of Metal Gear, sometimes it's hard within a single cutscene to find a moment because, you know, it's like, okay, this cutscene is an hour and a half, and I need 5 minutes of it. So, yeah, it's funny, but.
So is this something? So if you were going into MGS5, would you be glad if you persisted through the potential spoilerage of this conversation? Would you be glad that you knew that if you missed Ground Zeroes, you had a little context?
Absolutely.
If someone was about to play MGS5, would you say wait, no, play Ground Zeroes first, or?
Yeah, it's reviewing Phantom Pain. I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, what do I need to know before going in, and I really think. You can enjoy it on its own. I think the game is good enough that you don't need that extra context. But if you really want to indulge and invest yourself in the story and what's going on, I think you need to know about MGS3. I think you need to know about Peace Walker, and I definitely think you need to know about Ground Zeroes. And those all kind of feed into each other. So if you just watch the cutscenes of one, you're not going to understand the other one. So yeah, it's all that stuff is worth playing.
So do you guys have anything where like someone could recap, like through your site?
Yeah. If I wanted to
Sorry,
know,
that was not on not bait.
If I wanted to know a little bit more about Peace Walker and a little more context of the story going into Phantom Pain, what would I do, Ben?
Yeah, well, there's actually multiple opportunities. Michael Huber did a 12-minute video that sums up the Metal Gear series. There are a few mistakes, but if you want to get caught up, it's very good. I am also, this Friday, I just left my desk because I was writing the script. I got lost in it. We're doing a Peace Walker retrospective. And I'm super, super excited about it.
So not only just the story, but the actual the game, the creation of the game, kind of where it stood in the franchise. Because when we did our MGS retrospective, it was right before. It was for Guns of the Patriots when that came out. But then Peace Walker came out, and those two games have come out since we worked on that project.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I got tons of messages. People were like, "Are you ever going to continue the series?" So I mean, don't think of it as a literal continuation of the retrospective. It's not going to have the same graphics and tone and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, I
Setting expectations.
I sound 8 years older, so you know what I mean. It's not something you can immediately watch the old ones and jump right into. But written by the guy who played and reviewed. I think you reviewed Ground Zeroes as well, right?
I did review
Ground Zeroes and The Phantom Pain, and played by Mr. Brad Ellis, written by Mr. Ben Moore. And you can check that out this Friday. So thank you.
So then, Ben, are you the one that any new Metal Gear goes to you because you know everything about the franchise and?
I don't. I think
because we get Metal Gears all the time, you know.
Well, yeah, exactly. I probably sound really silly, but every 8 years when it does come, I do.
I don't know if it automatically goes to me. I think for Ground Zeroes, I kind of strong-armed the reviews editor at the time. I was like, please, I need to do this. This series is so important to me.
That's cool.
And so I think that enthusiasm convinced them to give it to me. I like Metal Gear a whole heck of a lot.
And hopefully people will feel that enthusiasm when
Yeah.
they watch the retro on Friday.
I just want to say, really quick, having just recently replayed through all of it, Peace Walker is a hell of a game.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's.
It was only number 10.
I feel like
it was only
it-
number 10 on our countdown.
I know.
I definitely
think
saw
it
some
should have
comments
been.
where people were like, I didn't know where a Peace Walker
Yeah.
went. But in defense, Brad Ellis literally just finished playing it and was like, he's like, it does kind of drag. He's like, it's like, you have this gorgeous world of Phantom Pain, and he's like, the world in Peace Walker is very small. It's very isolated in these little pockets of worlds. He's like, I kind of got a little tired going back to these areas.
But I think if you kind of look at it in the context of 2010 on a handheld system, it's
Right.
extremely impressive.
Ian's got to say something.
Well, I was just gonna say when you've got Huber screaming
Yeah.
that he hates Peace Walker, it
That
bumps it up
is
the list.
Somehow can influence people's opinions.
Yeah.
That is why it was number 10.
You know that, John.
yeah.
It's just the louder you are, the more
Right. The more
legitimate
people-
your opinion sounds.
Actually, no, that does not work at Disney.
doesn't?
The
Okay.
louder I get, everyone's like, is he going to be okay?
Well, thank you so much, Ben. It is the midpoint of the show. It is the time we're actually going to roll a badass trailer. Sorry to say badass. I know it's a kid's game.
No.
But that's
it's
just the
fi-
segment. That's what we
it's
call
fine.
it, John.
Hey, everyone enjoys Infinity.
And this
6 to 60.
This is a badass trailer. This is a intense 3.5 minute badass trailer, folks. This week we finally got to see the opening cinematic of Halo 5 Guardians.
I still haven't seen this.
Bit by bit, I'm slowly getting more
I
pumped
can't
about
wait.
this
Yeah,
game.
let's
Have you
do
seen
this.
this?
Do we
Have you
get
seen
to
this, John?
react afterwards?
It's going to be right over there on the
All
right.
right,
You can
here we
check
go.
it out. Here it is. Badass trailer. Enjoy it.
Fire Team Osiris. Over the last 72 hours, 5 colonies have experienced identical events. Massive destruction, Forerunner in origin. And Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Halsey has managed to contact us. She claims to have information on these attacks.
Halsey is currently in Covenant custody on the surface of Kamchatka. Your mission is to insert behind enemy lines, retrieve Halsey, and bring her back to Infinity. Be advised, Dr. Halsey is accompanied by Covenant Supreme Leader Jul 'Mdama. If you have the opportunity...
Understood, Commander.
Good luck, Spartan Locke. Infinity out.
Tracking gear online.
Affirmative. Say, before we make this jump, anybody want to say a few words?
I figure if God can hear how scared I am, so can everyone else. Locke, you buying the first drink when we're done?
You ask, you buy. Fire Team Osiris. The light is green.
Check.
Comms working fine, Locke.
Copy that, Tanaka. Spartan Buck online and ready.
Spartan Vale online.
Weapons free. Contact.
Crazy cinematic, jumping around. I wish SSX was that, man. I wish you could be Master Chief.
I miss SSX.
I know, man. I love that.
Holy
franchise.
cow,
I love you,
EA,
you're
hello,
flying around,
let's do
doing
this.
flips, shooting things. I actually want to address
1080 as well.
I want to address.
1080 was a dope game.
It was good. I mean, SSX is a lot crazier. You know,
Yeah,
a lot more
like
Terraform.
1080 was. All right. Anyway, sorry.
But I want to address something that I saw come up in chat, which I disagree with. Somebody said a game intro is not a trailer, and it is if you release it before the game launches. It is advertising. We're not getting Halo Guardians for a long time. And Microsoft and 343 made the decision that we're going to take this piece of media and we're going to make it. You know, I mean, you think about, we're talking about Metal Gear. You think about that one Metal Gear trailer where we saw, you know, Raiden fight for like 5 minutes at the end. Where, like,
Yeah.
Raiden and Vamp went at each other. And like, that was just a cinema he took out of the game and just slunked right into the trailer.
Right.
But it was advertising. Like, they chose to take that, to have this piece stand on its own. Much like the video they showed off at Toy Box Summit, the intro to all of the Disney Infinities. Like, it is the intro to the game, but you do want to release it ahead of time as a piece of advertising, as a piece of your media.
Yeah, I
you know,
mean,
to help advertise the game.
To be honest with you, for us, Brandon, it was more like, hey, what are we going to show here?
Right.
This is pretty cool.
That's what trailers are. I mean,
we think
that's
that our
trailer
fans would
construction.
appreciate
Right.
this, and so that's why we did it. But yeah.
So, okay, so let's get into it.
Okay, I can see his
8.2
eyes
over
just
here.
went from like
8.2 over here.
normal Brandon with his like, you know, nice eyes to these eyes, right?
No Disney playset this year. We have a Pixar playset. We have Inside Out. We have several Star Wars playsets coming out. We got the old trilogy. We got the new trilogy. We're gonna get an Episode 7 playset. You have a Marvel thing you announced it's called Marvel Battlegrounds. You mentioned 4-player. I'm very excited about that. Yeah, I'm excited to see what that is.
Yeah.
But from and again, we haven't had any conversation behind the scenes about Battlegrounds. I legitimately have no idea what this playset's going to be. But just from what I hear,
if you had to guess.
From what I hear, when you get to 4 players and you got Battlegrounds,
so I'm covering my face so I can show no expression. I see you, Joy's
eyebrows
in
just
the
went up.
background. Okay,
it sounds like here we have all of these Marvel characters. Marvel's not necessarily the focus for 3.0. We're really it's more Star Wars and Pixar characters and Disney characters returning. So let's make a playset where you can have that is a PvE and PvP playset where you can throw all these Marvel characters in and they can just beat the crap out of each other. That sounds like what Battlegrounds is. This one's like what the title is. I want that for Disney. I want some kind of a Disney, not a Pixar thing, something, some place where Mickey and Donald and all of these characters can go in and have their own fun adventure. The opening of Infinity.
So wait, hold on. Because you said what you thought Battlegrounds was,
right.
And then you were like, I want that same kind of thing for Disney. Where Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, I thought you were going to say, can beat the shit out of each other. Yeah. Like, oh my God, like, where are we going here?
Well, no, but when you first pop in the disc, the intro to the game, you get this great race where Mickey and Minnie are in a car and they're chasing after Donald. And I was like, I want this playset. I want that. I was just curious why Inside Out obviously is a huge property right now. It's something everybody's talking about. It's a tremendous film if you guys haven't seen it yet. But I was just wondering, was that a conscious decision that let's have the 3 Star Wars playsets as opposed to maybe not doing a Disney thing this year?
Well, so the thing is that we are a platform for all things Disney, and right now the priority is supporting what's the most relevant, current, popular stuff that's happening. And I hear you, because what I actually hear you saying is I would like something legacy Disney inside of Infinity, and the team hears that too. Hears it loud and clear. We hear it loud and clear from the community. The question is, at what point in the slate of the Walt Disney Company is there a break where it's like, this seems like a great time to do playset X based on this animated property? I think the other critical thing is if you were at D23, which you were, you've heard us say there's still unannounced characters and unannounced playsets.
Right.
So that's it. Sorry, I just got and leave it at that. So I'll leave it at that. So yes, Pixar is a big part of launch. Star Wars is a big part of launch. We talked about Marvel, but there's more coming.
And I haven't finished the Inside Out playset, but it's charming as heck. Are
you having fun?
It's a fun time. Yeah, I love the playsets this year.
Are you playing with your wife at the same time? Because that's the most important part. Multiplayer.
Yeah.
Multiplayer is the most important part of that. It's so much more fun. Infinity in general is so much more fun when you're playing with a friend.
And she's open world stuff. She's actually not
or a loved one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's friend, loved one.
Yeah,
she has many things.
Right.
I just want to point out to the chat. You brought up her. I didn't. I'm always bringing up Anipa on the show, and they're just like, there we go again.
Oh no, she's the sweetest.
You gotta tell me. But she loves the side-scrolling platforming stuff. So that was right up her alley.
The thing is that we were thinking about, and I've made this joke before, but it's like Lucas is like, Star Wars is a multi-generational property that appeals to boys and girls equally and everything. It's like, okay, we get that, but then at the same time, a big part of the experience that we crafted for Inside Out and in highlighting that playset at launch was because we also wanted to make sure, either for younger gamers or for gamers that didn't want a combat-heavy open world playset, that we had something for them as well.
So Peter Pan got announced.
Yeah, Crazy Town.
But it's going to be in 3.0. I made the incorrect assumption that was going to be a 4.0 thing. You were kind of like, just like, Mighty Gidas won the Toy Box Summit last year.
Yeah.
And that was the 2.0 challenge. And so you made the townsperson. So I was like, okay, if it takes you a whole 0.0 to make a townsperson, it's got to be, we got to be waiting to 4.0 or whatever's happening next year until we get that. But we're getting in 3.0.
That's
so
correct.
Is that indicative of how long it actually takes to make a figure? Or is this kind of like a special rush job? Not a rush job, but is this a special circumstances that were put in place to make this figure happen?
No, I think in general, so it takes us around, on average, 10 months to put together a character. And it depends how sophisticated that character is. One thing that's unique about Infinity in comparison to other games in Toys to Life and even other kids and family games, if you've played it out there and if you're in the chat, you know this, the amount of mechanics that we have from supporting the Disney characters, supporting the Marvel characters, and now supporting Star Wars characters, it's like, okay, so how are we going to make Peter Pan work? from an actual implementation perspective inside of the software itself. And so it's like, okay, well, we can use the flight mechanics that we've created for characters like Thor and Nova and Iron Man, and use that and then create custom animations for Peter to make him feel special in that way. And we can take from an actual combat perspective, this character's moves, that character's moves. We'll definitely create something custom for a special move. So from a software perspective, now that the platform has evolved into what it is, we can pick and pull from so many different IPs and characters that we've created in the past to support Peter Pan in that way. When it comes to actually creating, manufacturing, designing, getting approvals of a figure, that takes a lot longer, and that's why it's typically about 10 months to do a character like that. So one thing that we committed to our Toy Box Master artists that are part of this advisory panel is that they're going to be looped in, and they're going to be able to help shape what that character's pose is, what Peter Pan's pose is, and also what those moves are. And so it's fun because they know the game inside and out better than anyone else, and they can say the same thing that we went through of like, here's the flight mechanics, or here's the combat mechanics, or I'd like a little bit of this. And we actually want this to be a character that they help us create. Not only like you got to choose it, that's great, but then also kind of a peek on the inside of how we actually put together a character and get their feedback to make sure that that character represents what they want. Because ultimately, everybody had worked so hard for so many hours to build these great toy boxes. They've been featured on Toy Box TV. We want to make sure that their character that they got to choose is exactly the way they want it.
Okay. I know this is a time we usually go to Don. Don's got a question.
Emergency.
Okay. Dawn emergency.
How do I undo what I just did? I'm accidentally deleting things here.
Well, this is a criticism I actually have for the toy box. So
I know.
You added the undo button, but the undo button only works for adding stuff.
Right.
So if you drop something in and you're like, whoop, I didn't mean to put that there, you can undo it. If you delete something,
it's gone. Yes, I know. We know.
Look at
the entire team
his
knows.
face.
Oh,
broke his heart,
I am
John.
so sorry, Don. Hey, look at me. I promise that we will work to make it better for you. You have my commitment as the VP of production on this thing. I will make it. We will make it better as a team. We know we have a lot of work to do.
If you have the undo delete button, maybe 8.5.
No, there he goes. There he goes. Got me right back. All right, I deserve it. Even opening up that can of worms. All right, high five.
Chat coined a term called 8.2 eyes.
Yeah, it's the 8.2 now.
Oh yeah.
So we had Well, we had we had a couple guys that disagreed on our score of the Wind Waker HD. Mike Damiani was unfortunately no longer with Game Trailers. Gave it a 7.8, and Kyle Bossman on our team just lost his mind. He's like, "How on earth could you say this is one of the best Zelda games ever made?" So 7.8 is such a gag within the GT community.
Do you remember
that we actually have our own emote in our chat that's 7.8?
Do you really?
So we're gonna have to throw 8.2
Do you
on there now.
remember how much everyone was freaking out about the art style of Wind Waker back in the day? Like everyone was freaking
when
out.
it first launched, though. Yeah, when it first launched.
Like it was like when it first launched, right? And then it's like, okay, so we got Twilight Princess, which is what all the hardcore gamers wanted,
right?
And then it wasn't exactly. No, it wasn't what we wanted. Like Wind Waker was actually great.
I love both those games, but I love cell shaded
Yeah.
style games. Like
Yeah.
I was so into
that was
Wind
the
Waker.
most expressive Link I've ever seen.
Was
I
all right.
really
So
dug
Wind
it.
Waker better.
Tangent. But tangent. We gotta get back on track.
All right.
Because we want to get to the
go.
community. We want to get them asking questions so
Okay.
they can win some free copies of the game. And I just want one more thing. I just have a couple questions.
Okay, no,
I'm gonna
please
lump
keep going.
them. I'm gonna
Please
lump
keep
them
going.
into one big question. Just
Okay.
one big, just the elephant in the room.
What can you
for,
make
for Infinity?
How can you make your game better?
So yeah, what the heck? So last year you had digital exclusives. So you had Sam and Cora that were exactly. This is what I want to talk about, John. So you got digital exclusives that were only available on the PC and the tablet versions of the digital versions of Disney Infinity.
Yep.
And then you also had the Symbiote Spider-Man that was exclusive to the Vita version.
Different deal. Yeah.
But it's just these exclusivity things.
Right.
Where it's like we're going to launch this, but it's only available for this one thing. You did Hulk last year, Boba Fett this year.
Right.
And then the granddaddy, the king, if you will, of exclusives.
Right.
Which Mr. Don Casanova is actually rocking in the toy box right now, which I was fortunate enough to get at D23.
Right.
The first time anything Kingdom Hearts has appeared in Disney Infinity.
Yeah.
The King Mickey costume disc.
Yes.
Which is only available to granted a special contest you guys are doing right now. You're giving away 100 discs to people that can get in a contest. But I mean, initially was given just to people that are there. What do you have to say to these people that are just tearing their hair out. They're like, I'm a huge fan, but I don't want to own a Vita. I don't own an iPad. I couldn't go to D23.
Right.
And I feel like I'm being punished because I can't be there for that
Right.
stuff.
So I mean, okay. This is so tough for me, especially because I really take this stuff like super personal to heart. In fact, so all right, let's go way back. Like, let's talk about Sam Flynn and Cora, these two characters, right? And so when we initially had announced, because the iOS version of Infinity had come so late, we had said, hey, for all of you iOS fans, we know that it's come late, but we've got these two characters, as hey, sorry, we have these two characters for you, available exclusively. And our community went bananas. And they were like, I remember like someone actually, Jason Haynes, who runs one of our fan sites, did like a dub over of one of the Hitler videos. I forget what it is. Where they're like, iOS only?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, JB?
No, the classic,
like, yeah. And so I was like, oh my God. And so like after we had a laugh about it, we were like, we need to make this right. And so that's why Sam Flynn and Cora got turned into physical figures that were available at the launch of 3.0. These were rushed into production, airshipped, the whole 9 yards, because we wanted to make sure that we did right by our community, and that's really important to us.
Awesome.
So that's the first one. The second one, the Black Suit Spider-Man. So essentially, Vita, also like iOS, was coming so late. I mean, I think so. Sully actually, not that Sully's a bad producer. Sully was managing that, and it came late because we had to finish the console product, and we initially had targeted the Vita to come in November. And then it ended up getting pushed back just because of how big the game is and getting it to work on that handheld, which is incredibly powerful and a totally kick butt. Held back swearing. The high five. Platform that we wanted to make sure that it was a great experience on that platform, and we hope that we delivered. So then again with that, we were like, okay, so we should do something special to make sure that the Vita owners that we've talked about in Promise Infinity 2 are going to have something great, and so that's what we did with Black Suit Spider-Man. Then when it comes to this Kingdom Hearts costume change disc, so the thing is that
Don, can you just go back to Mickey real quick? Sure. Can you just pause what you're building and just go back? So there he is.
Yeah, so I have always been very, very open about, hey, what character would you like to see Johnny V join Disney Infinity? And I always talk about Captain EO. I've talked a lot about some of the classic LucasArts characters like Guybrush Threepwood, or any of the characters from Day of the Tentacle. I think that'd be really great. And I had always said, geez, it would be so cool to pay tribute to Kingdom Hearts and the team at Square Enix. And so this is something that myself and a whole bunch of people at Avalanche had talked about doing. In fact, this entire thing started as what is supposed to be the ultimate unlock for 3.0. Star Wars is now being integrated in a huge way. What is like the next crazy big thing that we can do? And so there's lots of conversations about what it could possibly be. And then someone had said, it should be the Keyblade. And I was like, yes, like I will totally fight for that tooth and nail, right? And even though Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts characters are considered part of Disney, there is a special relationship that we have with Hashimoto-san and that entire team at Square Enix about how they handle that property and how we treat that property internally at Disney. And so I actually had done a handwritten note saying that we were very interested in integrating the Keyblade as the ultimate unlock. It would be something very, very, very special. And when we had heard back from Square Enix that they were okay with that, then I took the next jump forward and I said, would it be possible for us to do a costume change disc for Mickey? And that was a bit more of a right, because I mean that's a little bit more, and it's not only talking and convincing them that it's the right thing or that it'd be a cool thing for fans. It was also talking to corporate brand, right? So if you imagine at Disney, and of course you guys don't care, but like you can imagine at Disney, right? They're like, okay, we have lots of different versions of Mickey, or Mickey, assuming roles as Mickey is the Sorcerer's Apprentice or Steamboat Willie Mickey. And so, why is it relevant? And then building that case for why we should make King Mickey as a costume change for Infinity. And so eventually I had managed to convince everyone, but we had all agreed that it needed to be something very special and very exclusive. And so then we decided that we would make for as many people that the arena could hold, this disc. And at the time, it seemed like a great idea. And even right now, so now I'm going to take off like Disney John Vignocchi and now put on like fan hat. I have, after that presentation, I was crushed because my Twitter feed was not full of how cool is this?
Right.
It was full of you are such a jerk. How could you make such a stupid decision? How could you? And I was crushed.
And it's one thing. It's a disc. It's one solitary item in a franchise with just hundreds and hundreds of things.
Yeah, and so I was so in the blue about it. And so actually myself, John Blackburn, and Jeff Bunker, who also work on the Infinity team, we were actually having lunch together, and they're like, hey, what's the reaction? And I'm like, the reaction is largely negative right now because of this thing. Yeah. And so John's line to me was, well, what's funny is if you take a look at how we've managed to handle community reaction to something that's been negative, we've always made it right. So hopefully we can make something like this right. So in the interim right now, and actually that's kind of the surprise that I brought, in the interim right now, we actually have this contest that we're doing, but I actually got my own personal 10 that I had to give out to my friends, and I brought them here for you to give out to the guys on GT. So Joy, could you grab the bag real quick, or just grab the discs? So we have them for you guys to determine how you want to give them out. I don't care. But
okay, I'm not gonna make that decision live on the air.
I'm trying to.
I gotta soak that.
I am take weeks of planning, John.
Is trying to be cool. So, but that's like in detail the entire story, the emotion behind it, everything that's happened.
The long story short, to wrap things up. That's incredible.
Sorry,
that was John.
really
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I mean, there is kind of a necessity to have something exclusive, to package in Boba Fett, to have a whole, you know what I mean?
It just seemed like the right
have
thing.
A bonus, for some people that are in some ways arguably, more committed or they're at the right time, and you want to honor them and you want to, appreciate your fans. That go out of their way.
And even with Sony, right? And Adam would tell you the same thing. I mean, we went around to Microsoft, Nintendo.
I'm glad they don't know where our office is, John. That's all I'm saying.
Really?
They're literally just
we went to our first party partners, and we love everybody equally. We just said, hey, we have an opportunity to do something special. Like, who would like to do this? And Adam and the Sony guys were like, duh. I mean, that sounds great. And so that's why we ended up doing last year and then doing this year again. We continue to have the conversations with everybody. So I understand at the same time where people are like, it's really tough when you give an exclusive to a platform in the way that you've done. Like, I do understand that, but at the same time, I want everyone to know that we're giving an equal opportunity to all those guys to get involved in different kind of ways, and everyone said no except for the Sony guys. So that's what happened, and we'll continue to have those conversations.
I want to take the gloves off, and then these conversations always just end so positive, and I failed.
Well,
I really wanted to be just a hard-hitting, gritty journalist.
Brandon, my entire thing is if you stand on the ground and tell the truth, right? It actually, people appreciate the transparency, and then understand what your thought process was, and so that's our commitment to our community and to our friends and fans.
All right, enough of my yakking. Let's get to questions. Do you have time to stick around a little bit?
Yeah, totally. As long as everyone's okay to still continue watching.
Our chat's blowing up. They love you. But they want us to Thunderdome battle for the discs.
Thunderdome?
Which, I'm not...
I don't think... that's like Warner Bros. Thing, right? Mad Max?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, officially.
Can't we think of like a fun... Wait, did I just say... Yeah. Can't think of a...
Battle Royale, then.
Okay.
Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Battlegrounds.
Mr. Gamer Nerd wants to know other games that you're looking forward to, if anything, or what you're playing kind of right now.
So I'm playing The Witcher right now, which I think is fantastic. It reminds me of what the Pirates of the Caribbean RPG could have been that I was working on when
Armada of the Damned.
Yes, when I first started at Disney. So I'm playing The Witcher. I've been playing Rocket League, and then I've been playing a lot on my iPhone only because I've been traveling so much. Sure. But what I'm looking forward to, so Metal Gear scores are so high, it's like you have to, as a game developer, check out what's going on to make the journalists that you love and respect and read say this thing's so awesome. So I'm going to check that one out for sure. Obviously, Battlefront is a lot of fun. So we've been doing all these different events. And so it's like, hey, here's Infinity. And we're over in the corner with the EA guys. And they'll come over and we'll actually, play back and forth. So I've seen their build evolve over time. And that game looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm excited about that one. I got a chance to play the new Call of Duty as well, which is super cool. All the hacking stuff that you can do is a lot of fun. Morpheus, some of the VR and AR stuff I've been playing around with. It's been great. So a lot of things. I'm trying to think of what's the next big release that's coming out that like
Those are all big
years.
releases. I mean, they're all really happening right now. MGS is huge. MGS is one of the biggest ones of the year.
Yeah. So I can't wait to check that out.
Nice. Big Cat 4848 wants to know, how nervous were you going in front of the Sony crowd at E3?
Oh,
kind of like,
my God.
how do you prepare for that? Like, how does that feel?
It was so, that was crazy. And how do you prepare for that? So basically, I showed up and I went like, so Adam Boyes had called me on the phone. He's like, I don't want to get your hopes up, and I haven't said anything to anyone, but they were saying that, because Star Wars is the destination this year on PlayStation, we should have Infinity there, and we should have Battlefront there as well, or we should have Battlefront there, and we should have Infinity, however you want to do it, right? And so they were talking about who would be the right person from Disney Interactive to do that. And so I didn't say anything, but PR came back and they're like, well, this one guy actually seems to be pretty entertaining. And he's like, so they're talking about you, but like whatever. And then all of a sudden it kind of evolved to, okay, you're going to be doing this. I was freaked out. Which is probably part of the reason where I was like, you know what, like if I've got one chance to just give it my all, like one shot Eminem, right? Like, palms are sweaty, like the whole thing. So I was like, okay, whatever. And so it's crazy because in that green room in the back, there's all of these game developers there, like, Sean Murray and the guys from Hello Games, right? And you're like, these are dudes that you look up to, right? And you happen to be there holding court with them. And so then I got up on stage and I'm like, Disney Infinity, bah! And everyone's like, oh, how do you actually, like, how does someone recover from the Shenmue announcement, right? And so I was like, whatever, okay, I'll give it my all. Because I didn't know what was going to be in the presentation, because the way that they do that is they bring all of the developers individually, and then, as I'm in the back, I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to follow this. So anyway, how did I do it? I don't know. Just kind of like
blacked out.
Yeah, exactly. Like did it, and then people were laughing. I mean, someone in the crowd shouted, "Shut up and take my money," and that was like, I heard that, and I was like, so yeah, it was a crazy moment. And thanks everybody for watching.
It's awesome. I have to ask this question now because you've quoted 2 rap lyrics at this point in the
Yeah.
show. Swordfish 00830 wants to know what your favorite rap group is.
Oh, probably Jurassic 5. So they actually did a custom song for the original NBA Baller soundtrack. They're one of my favorite groups. I would say Mos Def and Talib Kweli. Black Star is another one of my most favorite groups. I've been listening to the new Dr. Dre album, which I think is totally awesome. Just Blaze we worked on projects together, and he's an incredible producer. So I listen to a lot of the stuff that he's doing on SoundCloud. And then just like in terms of, I'm a huge hip hop head, of course, right? So it's like, I know this is the dumbest thing ever, but I'm trying to think like who else. Just a ton.
No, chat's flipping out right now. They're like, "Oh my god, good picks."
Yeah, no, like I'm a total huge hip hop head. Obviously, Public Enemy, right? We were talking about Chuck and Flav. So just huge fan of hip hop.
Nice. This is from Danny Endurance. How did farming come about in 3.0, and how will that advance in the future? Can we expect new elements like DLC later on?
Okay, so I can't talk about, what I can talk about is that the team, okay, I'm trying to think of the right way to answer this question. Infinity is, it's a game that actually appeals to a really, really wide audience of players. And as a result, when we actually go and we do studies, and this might get a little bit heady, we go and do studies and look at the different types of players that we actually service on the platform and what type of gameplay they like. We want to make sure that we're ticking a box for a lot of different people. And so farming was an evolution of this mechanic that we've had for a long time, but never really done as much as we wanted to, of nurturing. It's a type of gameplay mechanic where there's not this looming sense of threat, but rather an opportunity to grow something and nurture something over time. And so that's where that particular mechanic, that's why farming was introduced, and everything that we do with sidekicks was introduced. But regarding the second part of the question, like what can we expect in the future? I can't talk about that because we don't talk about the future of stuff. But it's like great observation. I hope you liked
It's
farming.
going to be awesome, whatever it is.
Well, if we continue, I mean, sure, Brandon, you're jumping to conclusions there, but definitely like farming with Drax the Destroyer is awesome.
This is from Divinity. Have you ever done a media blackout for a game that you were super hyped for, or like if not a movie or
What's
anything?
a media blackout?
So like you don't watch any trailers, you don't ingest any information, you ignore all the press, everything. A lot of our guys did that for Metal Gear Solid 5, where they were like, nope, nothing.
Media blackout. Not on purpose. I would say right now my media blackout is with Halo. That's why I was so psyched when we like cut to the trailer. I was like, I haven't seen that. I mean, I'd heard about the HoloLens demo at E3. Halo's one I'm super excited about, but yeah, not on purpose.
I have to ask another question of his because it's so good. Mr. Gamer Nerd wants to know, have you ever been starstruck by meeting someone else in the gaming industry?
Yeah, totally. Of course. I think that when I started off meeting the guys at Midway, which is where I would start my career, I was totally starstruck. So for those of you that don't know, because Midway went bankrupt and is now gone, Midway was like what Rockstar Games is right now. They were the guys that were making like the coolest games, the most edgy games. You had like Mortal Kombat and NFL Blitz and NBA Jam. And so when I got to meet the programmers and artists that actually put those games together, I was totally starstruck. These days, the people that I'm starstruck with, I love. It's not even starstruck. It's like, who do you like hanging out with? And so I love hanging out with Tim Schafer. I love hanging out with Cliffy B. I love hanging out with Dave Lang, of course, right? Someone's going to say something, right? Whatever. Like, he's one of my good friends. But it's funny because it's not even so much being starstruck anymore. It's more like when you finally get to meet these people, you realize how real they are and how nice and normal they are. And the fact that everyone loves video games together. That's the coolest thing. Like, you have something that you're in common, like you have in common and you can be passionate about. And when you meet all these different people, celebrities and that, like, I did dinner with Randy Pitchford and Rami Ishmael at Gamescom. And we had the most crazy evening together. Like, we've never actually all hung out and partied together. We had the most fun evening, laughs, jokes, memories from that. And it's like, everyone is so cool, and it's great that video games can pull us all together.
That's awesome. This is from Controller in Hand. What was it like making the transition from being a game developer to your position now? And is there something you miss about like that hands-on? I mean, I know you're still hands-on,
yeah,
but
I'm,
just
still super hands-on. I think it was really hard actually. So it was really hard for me because when I came into the organization, there were people there that were on the what they call like a publishing producer side, dictating to the game developers what the product should be. And a lot of those people didn't have the same amount of experience that the actual game developers did. And so the thing that I changed and kind of flipped at Interactive, at least, and I've instilled in my team too, is, hey, your job is actually to allow those guys to make the greatest game that they can, not to check up on them and make sure that they are on time and on budget. And, it's actually like those guys know how to make games better than you or I do. So do everything you possibly can to make sure that like the politics and the bureaucracy of being able to work in this crazy environment, those guys are actually sheltered from that. And so you be the first line of defense. Take all of those bullets to make sure that those guys can actually be focused on making the coolest game that they can. So it was really tough because when I first started, it was a much different thing. But now, I mean, I guess myself and a few members of my team are kind of some of the last men standing when it comes to the console games group. And I think that attitude and that shift in focus is part of the reason why we're still there.
It's awesome. You're like hero of gaming, John Vignocchi.
No, I'm not.
I'm not. Chat loves you.
No.
This guy's the best.
I am like, this is like, let's be very clear. I am one dude, and the dude that for whatever reason they put in front of the microphone. There is an army of people that are working with me and that I'm a part of. And it's an honor to be able to be a part of that team and have guys at Avalanche and guys at Ninja Theory and Sumo and Unite Friend and all these different developers be able to say like, no, you're actually part of our team. You're not just like this jerk that's in Los Angeles. So even though I am probably a jerk that
can't you be both, John?
Exactly, right? Sorry, I don't mean to get all sentimental.
No, chat's getting sentimental because some people are saying, I don't even have a question, just tell John he's awesome and I love him. And actually, there's a comment from Shanezdi who says, John, my church has an annual picnic happening this Sunday, and my family donates a basket for auction every year. And this year we did a 3.0 basket.
That's awesome.
I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to tell you this.
No, that's really
So,
that's super flattering.
Yeah.
I hope whatever family gets that picnic basket enjoys it.
Yeah, the chat's full of love for you. New favorite person ever.
Aw.
Says J. Remy. I guess.
That's it.
Yeah, a lot of the questions you answered throughout, but
Yeah, I was gonna say we probably have time for one more.
yeah. Do you have one more that you want to do?
I got questions for you.
Brandon, you have more questions you want
I
to
got
ask?
more questions. You mentioned I was actually talking to Blackburn, and he mentioned that the power discs this year are not blind packs anymore.
Yes.
And he mentioned, I can't remember if it was in an interview that I did with him or if it was in one of the presentations, maybe at Judges Week for E3. But he said that the hope was that the kids would trade these, and
Right.
oh, you got that, we're all buying blind packs, but I might get this, you might get that, and we'll trade that, and that didn't really work out.
Right.
And so that was kind of the idea, to have them be not be blind packs this year.
Well, that's part of it. The other part of it, again, goes back to community being like, hey, I would actually buy more of these if you told me what I was getting.
Right.
And so there was so much feedback coming from the community, both in North America and internationally, about like, hey, like moms coming up to me at events and saying, my kid has like 15 Alice in Wonderland sky domes. What do I do with those? And it's like, you're supposed to trade.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, and I don't want my kid trading with someone on the internet. And it's like, oh, I guess we, it seemed like a good idea at the time. So that's why we went to that configuration in my eyes. I mean, John definitely has his perspective as well, but I think when you combine them together, that's a big part of the reason why we did that.
And it seems like there are potentially less power discs this year, maybe because of that.
It's funny because it's funny because a lot of people have been saying that. I think that, so when we talked about this in development, Marcus Fisher, who's our VP of Creative, he had said, we put so much effort into these power discs that the things that you do inside of the play sets and the things that you can unlock with Sparks, we could actually, if we did less of those power discs, we could make those more valuable in game to players. And then I'm like, at the same time, these are really cool and fun, so there needs to be a balance. And so even though the perception right now is that there's less, I think what's critical is that that was kind of the trade-off that we did. So we wanted to make sure that we had fun stuff in the game to unlock, but then also at the same time, if someone wanted a costume change disc, they could have the ability to do that and then trade that. I mean, this one that you have right here is one of my favorites, General Grievous's bike.
Yeah.
This thing is so advanced when you look at it in the game, and like the amount of animations and stuff that it does. It's really cool. It's interesting though, Brandon, because what we actually see people using the most of are the sky and ground texture change discs to be able to create and customize their own toy box. So I think that's something that's pretty cool.
That is it for all of my questions. And you're set up on questions?
Yeah. So many questions are like, is this character coming? Is this character
Yeah.
coming?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that's welcome to my life.
Yeah.
That's every morning. I'm like sitting there, I'm like having a cup of coffee. I'm like, I should check Twitter before I go into work. And it's like 250, like ats or mentions, right? And they're all like, hey, when is Oliver and Dodger coming? And like, are you ever going to get Captain EO in the game? Yeah, it's actually, but I'd love to know something we've been talking about this week. It actually, Wall Street Journal wrote something about this, and Gama Sutra picked it up. Female characters, which I think is super cool. We have almost a split of 50-50 boys to girls playing Infinity, and I'd love to know what classic, it could be Marvel, it could be Disney, it could be Lucasfilm, female characters you guys would like to see.
Belle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw She-Hulk as one. I saw
She-Hulk?
somebody tweet that the other day. Just
yeah, She-Hulk's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like no doubt, I laugh because
Spider-Woman,
Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Spider-Gwen's a good one.
So cool. Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, so many great options over there too.
Singularity.
Oh, sorry, what?
Singularity.
Singularity.
Oh,
She's cool. She's from A-Force.
Oh,
yeah,
there
that's
you go.
actually
She's a universe.
Deep cut for me and Hank.
She's infinite. It fits.
I was thinking, he's absolutely right. I was thinking one for me that will be like another one of these, like my next passion project that I'm sure will never ever get greenlit, will be I want to do Guybrush and Elaine
Yeah, that'd be great.
Monkey Island.
And again, just the thing that's really fun
And
about
not
that,
without
John-
Ron Gilbert. Ron Gilbert has to be a part of it. If we ever did anything like that,
get him out on stage at the summit.
Well,
and
no.
announce it.
There would be like this is the big thing, and actually, Schaefer would be able to co-sign me on this, right? It's like. It's so important to have those people as part of that to make sure it's authentic. The same way it's important to have Tim Burton involved when you're integrating Jack Skellington and characters from Nightmare Before Christmas. So if I ever had the honor, if we ever had as a team the honor of integrating those characters, it certainly wouldn't be without the content creators like Ron.
Can we forget some Muppets?
I was actually out with the head of the Muppets last night, and we were laughing about that, and he's like, "What's going on, man?" And I'm like, "Yeah, another round, please."
You'd lose it. I would lose it.
That'd be nuts. That'd be
Who's your favorite Muppet?
Well, they
so
all
of
is
them.
the first like real character I ever met. Ever
I was asking
in
last time,
anything.
like, who are the most popular
Like,
Muppets?
and actually, it was not. I missed the movies, and I didn't actually watch the Muppet Show.
Oh,
as a kid. For me, it was all about Sesame Street. I was watching Sesame Street one day, and hi, Kermit the Frog here on the moon, and I was like, I love this guy. Who is the
But like Sesame Street's different than the Muppets, yeah.
Yes, but he was on Sesame Street.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he was the roving reporter.
Crossover. Oh, okay,
Right.
cool.
That is where I met Kermit.
I thought you met him on Sesame Street.
I did.
You were
I
on
met him,
Sesame Street.
I met him through the television. I reached my hand. through the screen,
Sorry.
and I shook him.
I'm thinking this is Brandon Jones on the set of Sesame Street and met Kermit the Frog. But no, this is childhood.
Right.
I'm pretty partial to Gonzo myself.
Gonzo's awesome.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Muppet?
I can relate.
I love Gonzo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All of them are great.
That's the thing.
They're all
That's-
good.
They are all good.
It's a win. It's a win all around. Doesn't matter what.
I
figures
think
you add,
so.
it's a
For
win
me,
all around.
it would be Sam the Eagle.
Right on.
Right? Like I love Sam the Eagle, Rolf, and of course, like you couldn't do that property justice unless you do, Kermit and Miss Piggy and Fozzie, and I mean, there's just so many great characters there.
Rizzo.
Yeah, Rizzo. There's a lot of even the new characters are a kick.
Yeah.
Okay, we have extended this episode
Sorry.
of GT.
I'm
Live.
really
We've
sorry.
gone
I'm
super
really
long.
sorry,
No, I
everyone,
loved every
for-
minute of
for-
it. I just really quick before we wrap things up and talk about some stuff that you can see on GT this week. Don, let's do a pullback. See if you can go into Spark mode and just give me a wide shot. I want to see your creation. and don't forget to save this thing too when you're done.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah,
here.
R1 to go into Spark mode.
Spark
and then just
mode.
pull the camera back.
Let's
Let's see this massive construction
Whoa.
of yours.
All right. It's kind of hard to see. All right. Yeah, you start down here. I created sort of a platforming
First time playing Infinity
thing.
here, John.
Yeah, well, it's so sweet, right? And it's like, and you're forcing Don to do this, right?
thing's
Which is
got-
what the funny thing is.
The stream can't see the chain around his ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like the thing is, this is what we have to get better
Agrabah.
at.
It's very rudimentary Agrabah.
That's no.
I would kill to run
great.
around that world. Don,
So,
I can't wait.
this
Save
is-
that thing for sure.
So this is the messed up thing, right? Because, sorry, I mean, I guess you can still hear me if I whisper if I don't. The thing is, like, it's like giving someone, like a kid, a piece of paper and
Right.
saying draw.
Right.
And like some kids are going to build incredible, wow, like you're a natural artist. And some people are going to build that. Not that that's bad. I probably came out the wrong way. I didn't mean for it to come out. That's terrible. I mean, but some people will build something as great as that.
Smorgasbord.
Right?
Good
save.
And so the thing is that it's about unlocking someone's creative potential. And we know as a team we have to get better at that so that everyone can be proud of what they make.
I think I'm feeling the creative potential, John. All I need to do is I need the ability to unlock more time to play Infinity 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Because
you
when
and me
I
both.
stream the game every Tuesday, I'm like, oh, let me build this thing, and then I just move on to something else. And all the viewers are like, will you finish something one of these days? Hopefully that happens this year.
You actually, you know what you should do? You should invite some of your viewers to build with you.
Yeah.
Because the Toy Box has online multiplayer,
Right.
4 of you can build at the same
Yep.
time. So it'd be really fun to have, you building with your. I would totally do that with you sometime if you want
All
to.
right. We'll make it happen.
It'd be a lot of fun.
So really quick, just talking about stuff. We talked about our top 10 Metal Gear twists this weekend. We're just like Metal Gearing up all over the place on the site. Last week we did the top 10 Metal Gear games. This Friday's been to talk to you about. We're doing a retrospective solely on Peace Walker. Our MGS5 review from Ben went up last week. You can still check that out. Ben also wrote top 10 tips. So if you were jumping into MGS5, he put in over 70 hours into the game, so he has lots of really good suggestions about what you should do. A lot of good stuff, particularly early on. None of it's really spoilery. A lot of it would be old news if you'd actually play Peace Walker. But if you're new to the franchise and just jumping into MGS5, it's a great read. And Mike Huber sat down and did his best to go through the entire story of Metal Gear in 12 minutes. Hit most of checked out most of the boxes, swung and missed on a lot of other stuff, but it's still amusing to watch. I recommend you check that out. A disclaimer, there is no tabletop adventures, there is no Final Bossman, and there is no GT time this week because Mr. Kyle Bossman is out on vacation.
There was a first 15.
There was a first 15 in replace of the Final Bossman. Those 3 shows specifically.
Where is
will not be
Kyle
up this week.
vacationing?
Where is Kyle vacationing? Actually, I don't know.
Well, he went home to New York.
Yeah, East
Okay.
Coast.
We don't really care, John. Right? Yeah. I don't ask a lot of questions. You know what I mean? You can also check out, we just got back from PAX, missed you at PAX this year.
Oh, I know, it's the worst.
Checked out all sorts of awesome stuff. Checked out Lawbreakers. Andrea Renee did a great interview with Cliffy B for us. Also talked with Andrea about Rock Band, Guitar Hero Live, Lego Dimensions, Assassin's Creed. I did interviews with the staff of Homefront: The Revolution, which I played for the first time, which was great, and Divinity: Original Sin 2, which is one of the most complex video games I've ever seen in my entire life. A super deep RPG. Divinity: Original Sin 1 is coming to consoles. So they have lots of stuff to talk about. Our Mad Max review is going up very soon. I think that script might be in my inbox. Bloodworth finished the game today.
Dude, it's crazy. Didn't that game drop 2 days ago?
We're a little bit behind on our embargoes this week.
Sorry.
A little bit behind on reviews.
I didn't mean to call anything out.
Yeah,
Don just looked at me
I'm not,
jerk.
Speaking of character creation games, I'm also going to be reviewing Super Mario Maker, which the embargo actually lifted today, so you're seeing lots of reviews come up.
Cool.
I'm going to work on that review as fast as I possibly can.
Cool.
And as we mentioned, first 15, mandatory update, including a special segment that Ian shot at PAX by his lonesome. A mic in one hand, camera in the other.
It's called the Horribly Conceived Mandatory Update Solo Edition. It'll be contained within a Frame Story episode also.
I had no part in that.
She had no part in it. And it shows. It's terrible.
And of course, it's the beginning of the month, so we have our release calendar video where we go through all of the awesome releases that are coming out this month. And you can check out that video as well. Thank you for
this is
man. This is ridiculous.
This is so sad.
I'm gonna rack my brain all tonight, before the Toy Box Tuesday next week, and try to figure out how create. Well, I mean, Elisa's stealing one right now, but
No, someone in chat said that you're gonna put these under your pillow so you have amazing
exactly.
dreams forever.
Every time you lose a tooth.
Yeah.
But you're a great guest. We have a great community, so we'll try to figure
out.
You've
got 10 of them, so
we will figure out some kind of creative
Brandon.
way. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we can. I will take the slings and arrows for this, and we'll try to figure out a creative way that we can get those in your hands. Thank you, Don Casanova, for playing Disney Infinity for the first time and building this amazing creation. Have you saved it yet? Have you saved it?
No.
Press pause right now and save this amazing thing.
By the way, Don, we have play sets, which
Right.
are like actual structured gameplay experiences.
But that's the thing. I mean,
you
we
might
have-
be the type of person that might like that.
Yeah.
If not, no. Whoa! This was not a comment about what Don made.
This happens to me all the time on the show.
It was more like
try to say something nice.
No, I meant I don't want you to think that you're only seeing one half of the game right there, right? Which is a great part of the game. Don't get me wrong.
He makes beautiful levels in Trials. You
should
see
see
it.
this.
He's a Trials man.
I'm sure, right? I'm sure. So, there's also we have these play sets. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of
Okay. Okay. Thanks. God bless you. I'm sorry I screwed that up.
You
there.
can dream it. You can maybe build it. You should probably play
Keep
it.
dreaming big. That's what you meant to say.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Thank you, John, for coming in. Good
Thanks,
luck
man.
on the rest of your launch and the rest of the year for Disney Infinity, because you got all sorts of stuff that have yet to come out. More playsets, more figures. And thank you guys. Hopefully some cool people got the digital codes. We actually got a bunch of codes that you sent us, so I'm going to be giving more of those out on Toy Box Tuesdays along with awesome discs for the next couple weeks. So good to have you on. Returning guest. Thank you for coming back on.
No,
if I just didn't have their eyes roll at me all the time, I would have you every week on, John, because you're so much fun. I love this stuff.
But seriously, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I mean, everybody. And thank you, everyone, for listening to me talk. So it's great.
We'll see you next week for another GT Live. Take care, guys.